Thank you all for joining us this evening as we celebrate the gems of Beth Shalom. What makes our synagogue so special is all the wonderful volunteers and dedicated members that just make our synagogue shine. So to Kendra, Marcia, Charlotte, Hibby, Selma, and to Fred, thank you all for everything that you do and for making Beth Shalom feel like home.
I first heard about Beth Shalom because I was working at the Epstein School with Marcia Fish, and she knew that my husband Mickey and I were leaving our rental, and we were looking to buy a house near a conservative synagogue. So she invited us to Shabbat dinner with her husband Marvin, and I met Howard and Amanda and Gregory and Marissa, and they were so welcoming and so inviting, and they really took us under their wing and made us feel welcome. And I just thought, who wouldn't want to go to shul with such warm people like that?
I first heard about Beth Shalom is that I was very involved in Southern Branch, which this synagogue plus other synagogues were involved in. When Marvin and I moved here in 1998, the Crors came and said, you have to join Beth Shalom. And to be very honest, it wasn't really, we were looking at houses, but then the more we talked about it, and I just knew them, and I knew Maurice from Sisterhood, and that's real, and we were very close, and we worked together, even though I lived in, in New Orleans, it didn't matter, I still, worked with her, so, and we came, and we loved it. I mean, there was no question, and we knew Rabbi Zimmerman, because Marvin and I used to go to United Synagogue Southern Region conventions, and he used to be, he was very shy then. I don't know, not now. But anyway, and we knew him, just knew of him. They're nice. He used to give a couple of speeches. Knew that he was really a nice person. So anyway, that's really how we got introduced to Beth Shalom.
Well, my wife and I moved to Dunwoody, Georgia, in late 1984, and we went synagogue shopping, and different synagogues. And the first service we attended, a high holiday service, Beth Shalom, took place in a church, which was okay. And Rabbi Peterman was officiating. We were not impressed for several reasons, but so we didn't have Beth Shalom on our list at that point. And then a couple of years later, we met Norman and Elva Rosner and made friends with them. And Norman told us about they were interviewing a new rabbi at his home, and so would we be willing to be there? So we said yes, we'd be there. So at that occasion, they were interviewing Rabbi Zimmerman. And we were so impressed with Rabbi Zimmerman's interview and presentation and we had made friends with Norman Elva Rosner, we decided to join Congregation Beth Shalom.
Well, because when we moved down here, my son and daughter-in-law, David and Michelle, were already members of Beth Shalom, so it was natural for us to join.
Well, we go back about 40 years, 1980. Jessica had just been born, and Diane and I were actually part of a group trying to organize a synagogue up in Snellville, Georgia, called Beth David. But it was such a long way to ride, and it was interesting because there was no social media, there was no internet, no website, and I don't know how, we must have heard about it word of mouth, which is the way people used to do things, phone calls, word of mouth. And so we went to, 1981, Jessica was in a stroller, she was 1 year old, and we went to a Simchas Torah service at Beth Shalom on Chamblee Tucker Road. And they had a little house at Chamblee Tucker Road. And I mean, just from the time you walked in, everybody was so nice, it was so friendly, it was just a warm feeling. And we just decided this is what we'd like to do. So it was probably 1981. I was 29 years old. I had black hair. I weighed 40 pounds less, right? I wore glasses. it was like just a long time ago, but you know what? I've loved every minute of it, and it was just the greatest thing that ever happened.
So I actually heard it through a friend of mine. My son was less than 2, and I needed a great preschool. And so she introduced me to the synagogue, and I came to visit. And instantly, I liked the preschool. So of course, I signed up. So I guess my son is initially the reason why I got connected here. So yeah, Ori started as 2-year-old.
Well, I started teaching kindergarten and first grade in our religious school when Eileen Cohn was the director. And then I was teaching an art class at the Aleph Bet preschool when Jill Mainzer was the director. And just working with the children of the synagogue, you not only get to know them, but you get to know their parents. And just meeting so many people really connected me to the community.
Well, I think I'm a very true conservative Jew. I love that it was egalitarian. I loved, and sisterhood was probably, because I had been very active in sisterhood, and I took on right away some roles of sisterhood. I later became sisterhood president. I mean, that's where really, I think, where my love for Judaism, probably started. I mean, even when I lived in Pensacola, because we were such a small Jewish community. So I think sisterhood was really very, very important to me at that particular point. And I did teach Hebrew. Eileen Cohen got me to teach Hebrew, and I loved it. I think I took 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade Hebrew school. I did that for a couple of years. So that's really where I put my effort, those 2 things, at the beginning.
Well, I guess that was it. And that's when we joined, and we stayed with Beth Shalom ever since.
My son and daughter-in-law. That's how we got connected and joined. And we've been members ever since we came here. Because we had gone to synagogue in Queens for many, many years. And so we just continued to stay in a conservative synagogue. I don't sit separately.
So after we went to that Simchas Torah service, we went to services a couple times. And then we went to an event at the Jewish Community Center on Peachtree. And if you'll remember, when you walked into the building, the basketball courts are on the right, and on the left there's a big auditorium. And I don't remember what the event was. Maybe it was a Beth Shalom event, maybe it was a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, a federation. I don't know what it was. But we went in there, and it was a sit-down dinner, and the place was decorated beautifully. And I remember the table I was sitting at. You walk in the doors on the left, and Diane and I are sitting there, and we're schmoozing with everybody. So all of a sudden, this lady walks up named Marcia Bergman. She introduced herself to me, and she was the president of Beth Shalom. And she told me all about herself, all about the synagogue, what they were doing, found out about me, who I was, what my background was. And I mean, from the first minute, we just became friends, instant. And we still are. We had dinner a week ago. We went out to dinner a week ago. So that's how I met Marcia. That was my first connection. And then the next thing I know, I am becoming the vice president of the ritual committee at Beth Shalom. And I had to replace Wayne Garfinkel, who was incredible. And I didn't know how I was going to fill his shoes. So I was really the vice president of the ritual committee for a few years. At the time that we actually left Chamblee Tucker and started doing services over at the Jewish Community Center on Tilly Mill till the time we moved into the building. So my connection really happened with Marcia Bergman, who was just an incredible person, a wonderful president, and a very good friend of mine.
So what connected me is being involved with the preschool when my son Ori was here, and I fell in love with the family feel of the preschool downstairs, of course, and I think also the fact that the rabbi was involved. He will come down for the Shabbat sing and so forth. And I had taken a break with my education, so I decided to continue with my associate's degree in teaching. And while I was doing that, a position opened up here, and I was able to just become more involved and started to work here back in, I guess it was in 2000. I started, yeah. So that's the reason, yeah.
memory of Beth Shalom is definitely leading Tot Shabbat. I loved it when we had standing room only services. I know that one year, Orit Evans and I, we led the Rosh Hashanah services, and so many people kept coming. We ran out of programs and chairs, and it was just so wonderful.
Probably when three of my really good friends, when Eileen Cohen and Maurice and I and Regina Newman went to a retreat at Camp Ramah.
So tell me about that.
And it was we had shirts. I'm not going to tell you what the shirt said because when you spell our names out, it's a very, very bad word. But we all made sweatshirts, and we had the most marvelous time. And I don't even know, I met Eileen, I met all of those people through Beth Shalom, but it was wonderful. I mean, we just had a really good time. I mean, we did with the s'mores and the services and the study sessions. And that was the four of us. And we were friendly, at home here too, so we went out socially. So that just made it really special. And that's really, I think I have a lot of fun, but that is a very fun memory because I love that time. I love that time with them. And that's early. It's an early memory, but it was good.
I guess it would be a tie. One fond memory was at the groundbreaking ceremony of the start of construction of the Family Center educational wing of the facility. And I guess the other one would be the night, forgot what year it was, but Kol Nidre night, when the power went out and the candles suddenly were brought out, and we had a candlelight Kol Nidre service. Very memorable. It sticks in my memory very vividly.
What happened during that service? Just lit up the candlelights and it was just mythical?
Well, the rabbi did a marvelous job of walking up and down the center aisle, conducting service, and the candlelights provided enough lighting for everybody to continue with the service. So it was quite an event, an unusual situation, but it happened.
I don't know if I can pick out one, but I think it's very nice, friendly people. We sit at a very nice table after I do my chores in the kitchen, and it's been very pleasant. I enjoy taking classes because I'm a perpetual student, and I've been studying all my life. I graduated Queens College in the 70s. I had to wait until I was a housewife, and I wasn't working too much, and my husband said, "You want to go to college?" It was 10 minutes away, and so I went to Queens College and graduated with a degree in history, but I have always been interested in the history of Judaism because I think as Jews we have created and contributed, I should say, so much to civilization with our knowledge and our studies and so forth and so forth. So, and I'm just happy to be in a conservative synagogue because it suits my religious requirements. I took the rabbi's class for many years on Thursday mornings, and it's a little clumsy now for me to get down, but I continue my studies at home because I have a library at home with the Jewish Encyclopedia and all kinds of books on Jewish history, and I see what the Jews, including Beth Shalom, of course, have contributed as individuals to science and to civilization and so forth, and I'm very proud to be Jewish.
Okay, so I just told you that I've been a member for 40 years. For me to tell you my one fondest memory is impossible, but I'm going to try, okay? It's like, I remember I was on the rabbi search committee that brought Rabbi Zimmerman to town, and I remember the first time I met him. Now, how does that not stand out as a fondest memory? I mean, that was just amazing, and I've been involved with so many programs, the casino night, the rabbi's anniversary, so many lip syncs. I mean, I was actually chairing many of these committees. So when I think back to all that, it's like, oh my God, those were just amazing. Every one of those was a fond memory. I walked, as vice president of the ritual committee, I walked the first Torah into this building. And it was a picture of it in the it's called the Atlanta Jewish Times, of me walking. I mean, what a memory that is. I mean, that was just amazing. But if I have to pick a memory, I would have to say it involves my mother, who many people here know, my mom, Shirley Rich. She was a very active member. I think she sometimes loved Rabbi Zimmerman more than she loved me. Maybe it's a toss-up, I'm not sure, but she loved the place. She loved Rabbi Zimmerman. And when she was turning 90 years old, she said to me, Freddie, I don't want a party. I do not want a birthday party. And I did, I promised. And I said to her, Mom, what if we do a kiddush at the shul for your birthday? And what if we get the family to lead the services? So Rabbi Zimmerman let me have all the parts for the service, and we had her nieces, her nephews, my cousins, my kids, everybody had a part in the service. And she sat in the front row. You could see it on her face, the love, how she felt when everybody came down from the bima and gave her a hug. She passed away 2 months later.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the whole family got to say goodbye in a very special way. Beth Shalom gave our whole family the chance to say goodbye to my mother. And that was pretty special.
That is very special.
I would say I love when the rabbi comes down. It's really important for me to include the Judaics and the Shabbat feel of the preschool with our class. And I guess also the, oh my God, I just blanked there, but the Havdalah service that he plays the guitar. You know, I've only gone a couple of times, but it's beautiful. And then also the way that the synagogue, the outreach that they do. So that's my fondest memory of how they're involved, yes.
Well, I'm most proud to be a member of Beth Shalom because there are so many volunteers here. Everyone pitches in and really feels a part of the community. And year after year, they give of themselves so much. And I'm just so proud to be part of a community of people who put Beth Shalom at the center of their lives. There's too many volunteers to name, which is such a wonderful problem.
Oh, I just think that the caliber of people that I have associated with, I mean, and I'm not going to name, but people that so many people, number one, can read Torah. So many people can lead services and do things like that. And the other synagogues that we belong to, I mean, they had that, but nothing like here. I mean, you know, I was ritual vice president for like about I think it was 2 years, but anyway, and you know, it was just wonderful. I mean, the people that come forth, they can do that, and men and women, and I think that's right, and the commitment. I mean, sisterhood, very committed. I mean, between and the Sunday school, the education department, you know, people really committed to the synagogue, and yeah, and it's not the biggest in the world, but it was just really nice and you know, really friendly, and really, I got a lot of my friends, you know, joined. Because they had other synagogues, I mean, and they joined, and that really made it better because it really became a real, you know, community with friends, you know, that you could really enjoy. So, that's right.
Well, number one, of course, would be Rabbi Zimmerman, representing Congregation Beth Shalom in so many ways. The other would be the conservative culture, which my wife and I both were born and raised into a conservative synagogue in Jacksonville, Florida. And it was the prayer book, the service was so similar to what we were used to in Jacksonville for most of our adult lives that we just felt very comfortable being a member of Beth Shalom.
Well, I think it's an up-to-date, modern, conservative synagogue which meets my religious requirements of non-separation of men and women, and everybody participates in everything.
So after I became a member of Beth Shalom, I started tutoring bar and bat mitzvah classes. At the time, it was myself and Joe Brown. We tutored all the bar and bat mitzvah classes. I don't even know how many kids I did. As a matter of fact, it's funny because I did so many kids that now that I'm teaching 7th grade Hebrew school, I have a lot of kids from parents who I tutored for bar and bat mitzvah. I've got two of my class this year that I tutored their parents. So I did a lot of kids for their bar mitzvahs. Don't even know how many. And then I did adult Hebrew reading classes and kids. I did Haftorah and Torah Trupp classes. And then I've been teaching Hebrew school for like 7 or 8 years now. So it's given me the opportunity to touch a lot of people, to have an impact on a lot of people's lives. And like my students, to be able to teach them about Holocaust, to be able to hopefully bring them closer to Judaism. And I love the religion, I love Judaism, I love the traditions, I love everything about it. And to be able to maybe help someone see the same things that I see, to feel the same things that I feel every time I walk through those doors and leave the rest of the world outside and come into this place, which is my spiritual home. You know, to have had an impact on other people's lives, a positive impact in that way is pretty incredible. But if years from now, a couple people remember me for having impacted their life, I think that's pretty amazing. And Beth Shalom gave me that opportunity that I probably wouldn't have had anywhere else. So I'm the most proud that Beth Shalom let me touch so many people's lives.
My proudness is being involved in children's life, being a part of the community as a whole, giving the kids an opportunity to learn early on the Judaics and the value of really the daily life of Judaism. And I like that the way we're involved in, let's say, Backpack Buddies, me being teaching pre-K. So I find it a very fulfilling to be able to see the children being part of something where you have an outreach where it's not only within the Jewish community, but it's actually for the whole community of whole, you know, around the synagogue. Yeah, definitely.
So I told you I was a member when we were over at Chambly Tucker, and then we sold that building, and we moved into the, actually didn't move in, but we used the facility on Tilly Mill, the Jewish Community Center. And actually I was leading services Friday and Saturday nights between the time that we were between rabbis, between Rabbi Lifshin and Rabbi Zimmerman coming to town. I was leading services. And then we needed a building. We had to have a building. So we had what's called Operation Crossroads. That was the name of the project. And my ad agency actually did the brochure, but it was a fundraiser to raise money for this building that we're in right now. And that was called Operation Crossroads. Well, I think we're at another crossroads. I think our synagogue, our kahila, is at another crossroads right now, because Rabbi Zimmerman is not going to be here forever. And I can see in a few years, he's going to want to retire. He's going to want to retire and probably move to Israel. I see that happening. So the crossroads we're at now is that we're going to need to find an assistant rabbi, male or female, before too long. And that's huge. That's huge. The person that we bring in here has to have the same values, the same integrity, the same level of commitment that we've gotten from Rabbi Zimmerman, because that's what's grown this synagogue. I mean, he and I have been friends for over 30 years, but he's also my rabbi. And I realize what he's brought to the table to grow this synagogue. And we have to find someone that will continue to grow it in the same way that he did. So my hope and my wish for the future is that we're able to continue growing and prospering like we have with Rabbi Zimmerman, even though we'll be under new leadership. You know, the board changes regularly. I've been on the board twice. I've served twice on the board. And it changes regularly, but you don't change your rabbi that often. And when the rabbi changes, that's a big deal. And for us to continue to do as well as we have for as long as we have, that's gonna be big. So my hope and my wish is that the people in this synagogue, the powers to be, have the insight and the knowledge to select wisely, because we need that to happen.
That it continues to exist. That's number one, because sometimes the rabbi worries about the conservative movement as a whole, and that the sisterhood, the education, and it grows. I hope we get more kids. I think that's important, because that's how it, generation to generation is really important. And I think some of the programs that we've done, that they will continue in the future. I mean, I don't worry about sisterhood, but I know that right now, that we're trying to get younger people to take over, that sort of thing. As far as leadership in the synagogue, I think they're probably really good. I don't know. I'm not that involved with the congregation, that part of the board of directors and that, but I think they've got a nice plan. And I think that will grow. And I think that's the most important thing, that we just need to, and I just would hope to conserve Judaism, last. I mean, because that's my way of life. I really believe in that, and I think that's important. So
I guess it would be to continue on the current path and continue and expand really on the emphasis of providing programs, hopefully sufficient scholarship funds to encourage young Jewish families to join Beth Shalom and continue as members of Beth Shalom.
I wish it well. I wish it continues. It has a very good rabbi. He's very modern. And I think they stand for everything I stand for as a conservative Jew.
My hope for the future is that Hashem blesses us with success in continuing the good work that we're already doing. I hope everybody gets involved. I hope everyone finds their connection with other congregants. I hope that we all remember to keep it at the front of our minds that really the strong relationships we have with other congregants connect us really strongly to this community. And I always just remember that Marcia Fish was the one who included me, and also Rabbi and Linda. So that really made a great impression on me, and it was a good role model that I try to always do, to welcome somebody, to go over the top. So if I did it for you, I just ask that you pass it on to the next person and really go out of your way to be friendly. We have so many simchas to look forward to. We have bar mitzvahs coming up, weddings, graduations, and we all get to celebrate it right here at Beth Shalom.